Hi, I'm John Passmore, your host for Tree Doctors. On today's program, we're going to be going with Ed Dickey, the head tree doctor at Dickey Tree Service, into southeast Missouri as we take a look at what's probably the largest oak tree in Portageville. He's also going to be putting a rod in a large tree, and of course, lots of tree tips for you at home as well. So join us for Tree Doctors. It starts right after these messages. Stick around, won't you?
The tree doctors at Dickey Tree Service can inject a zap back in your tree's sap. Research has showed that ice-damaged trees are stressed, and stressed trees lead to insect and disease attacks. Micro tree injection is the answer for your trees. Micro tree injection is a closed system, delivering the exact dose of systemic chemical directly to the sap stream of the tree. Once the problem is identified, the tree doctors at Dickey Tree Service can inject vitamins, minerals, or insecticide directly into the sap stream of your trees. This bypasses the roots and provides immediate results. Micro tree injection has been university tested and field proven for over 35 years. After the tree doctors at Dickey Tree Service treat your trees, you receive a written 1-year guarantee. We won't treat a tree we don't think we can help. Let the tree doctors at Dickey Tree Service put the zap back in your tree's sap. It's been 7 years now since we at Dickey Tree Service first treated this large oak pecan tree behind me. At the time of treatment, the tree had stopped producing and really looked sick. Now the tree is healthy and producing nuts each year. At the owner's request, we're giving it a second application, a multi-nutrient, to keep it looking healthy for years to come. We at Dickey Tree Service care about your trees. So give us a call. The Tree Doctors, Dickey Tree Service. Hello, I'm Ed Dickey, the tree doctor at Dickey Tree Service. I'm coming to you from inside of a tree. We've been getting inside of trees for 35 years. We get to the root of the problem. Give us a call. We know how to save your trees. We put the chemical where it needs to be inside your tree, taking care of insect and disease problems. We're often imitated, but never duplicated. We've been doing this 35 years. We know what we're doing. Give us a call. We're the tree doctors, Dickey Tree Service.
Let's go out in the field in southeast Missouri with the head tree doctor of Dickey Tree Service, Ed Dickey.
I have a lot of people ask me just how long will a tree live? And these old oak trees behind me, I think they were planted about 1955. That's what the homeowner said. And there's reported oak trees that have lived for 1,400 years, 1,200 years. We got some up in North Carolina. We got some Salem oaks that's documented for better than 1,000 years old. There's some white oaks that's documented over 550 years old. There's some bald cypress, 750 years old. You know, a tree will live a long time. You give it a little bit of care. It's not, won't be unusual for these trees to live several more hundred years if they're properly taken care of. They've been pretty well took care of up to this time, and the property changed hands a few years ago, and the homeowner's getting them in good shape again. But to answer the people's question that asked how long a tree lives, depends on the type of care it gets, the environment. You know, barring the tornadoes and the lightning and Mother Nature, a little bit of tender love and care will make a plant live a long time. And another thought on the same subject is that the oldest thing on this planet is a tree. And most people aren't aware of that, but you get thinking about it, that's pretty heavy. The oldest thing on this planet is trees. Think about that when you go out there and look at them trees. You know, I'm here in a flower bed, and right in the middle of all this mulch and this dead azalea is a nice little young tree has took hold, and it's a pretty good little specimen, straight trunk. And I bet there's a lot of yards out there got some trees just like this or similar to it, and catch a good wet day after it rains, and you know, just spade that booger up and move it to a good spot and give it a chance to grow. because needless to say, it's not going to do much here right against this foundation, right underneath the overhang there, and in the middle of the garden too besides that. But that's not too many months of growth right there on this maple, and it's just shooting right on, and it's just wanting to be pulled up and put out. We're here at the home of Kim and Mike Jaqueves in Steele, Missouri, and a few years ago, Miss Jaqueves here had me put this lightning arrestor in this big old cypress tree behind me. And won't you tell me a little bit about what was going on with the home here at that time, Kim?
Well, at that time we had had an updraft come through Steele, and it took a few trees around us, and it scared me real bad. And then a few months later, one of my other big trees was hit by lightning, and it took the whole top out of it. And you managed to save it for me, thank you. But I didn't want that to happen to this great big old cypress here, which I love, and there's no telling how old it is. And I just asked you what I could do about it, and you told me you could put a lightning rod in it, so I let you do it. And I've been happy ever since.
Right. Yeah, cypress is a long life tree. There's recorded proof that some of them 750 years old and still alive here in the United States. Another reason I'm here, Kim had a sprinkler system put in, and the sprinkler guy, when he was trenching, he cut the number 4 solid copper cable that runs out. And we were just discussing about that, and what did the trencher guy say when you told him about the cut cable, Kim?
I told him that it was going to cost him a lot of money if lightning got that tree before he fixed that back, and he told me, well, darling, I'd do anything in the world for you, but I'm not going to run a lightning rod in the ground in the middle of a thunderstorm.
Can't blame him for that.
No,
It needs to be sunny weather for that. But once the lightning rod's put in, they're easy to be tested, because once it gets hooked back up, an electrician can test this and see that it's properly grounded, and you know it's working and functioning properly. Not only does this protect this tree, it protects the surrounding trees. Have you noticed that this tree has drawn lightning since we put this in, or has you felt more at ease, or what's your thought on this after several years of this being in?
Felt very much at ease. I feel like I'm helping the neighborhood out too by protecting these trees around me. I think you told me 300 foot radius around me.
That's it, right. 300 to 500 foot, so that would cover several yards around her.
I've not had a lightning strike either, and my house was hit a few years before this, and it got 3 TVs, but I have not been hit since.
Right. A lot of people ask how you test these to see how many times you get struck by lightning. I think I told Kim when I put this in, you could put a pigtail. That's a light bulb with 2 wires, and you put both of the bare wires there, and every time it blows that light bulb, it takes a lightning strike. So they're easy to test them when they're functioning. But it's a great old tree, and that's the theme of our show, the family tree, and this is the largest tree in your yard.
Yes, and my husband's a pilot, and we fly over Steele, and this tree is how I identify our home. It looks like it's the tallest tree in Steele. I'm not sure, but it looks that way from the air.
Oh yes, it's a tall tree and a big tree. This is a big old elm tree, and most people are aware that we've lost a lot of our elms. The cities and towns were all across America used to be lined with these trees, the streets, and almost every resident. And back in the late 20s, the Dutch elm disease broke out, and it gradually spread across the country. And the 50s, the 60s, cities tried to eradicate the insect that actually carried the disease, which is the elm bark beetle. Carried the disease, the Dutch elm disease, and gave it to the tree. And some of the trees that have survived are resistant to the Dutch elm disease. We're treating this tree here. It's got other tree problems, insect problems, but it doesn't have the Dutch elm disease. There's still a lot of our nice older elms scattered across the country, and just because it's an elm tree doesn't mean you just need to cut it down. You could very well have a disease-resistant elm. This tree here is a big old tree. It's in excess of 50 years old, and it provides shade for this shop here at this residence, and as well as a sound barrier for things around it. So just because it's an elm tree doesn't mean it's not an important tree. And at one time, this was the oak of the whole world, the elm trees was. And since we lost so many, I'm just tickled to be able to help save one, because there are not too many of them around. But if you got one, you might have a disease-resistant one, just take care of it. Aren't these trees planted along this lane nice? I'm at the home of George Killian right outside of Portisville. And it's kind of funny about this yard. About 20 years ago, I first met George. He was in the process of digging out a tree that, or putting in, I should say. He had a backhoe out here, and I stopped and talked to him at that time, and I told him about some things he could do to help take care of them, and he was too busy farming at that time, and with everything he had going on to worry about them, he could throw one in quicker than he could take care of one. And about 2 years ago, George called me. He said, "Ed, I got a problem with my trees," and sure enough he did. He had let the boars get in them. We come in here and treated all his trees in the yard, and I think they speak for themselves. The trees are doing great, and it's been 22 years now since I first seen that second one back there being put in with a backhoe. He had a couple of helpers, and they was putting it in the hole. But we're going to save what's left here in the yard, and the trees are really looking good.
We'll be back with much more on Tree Doctors after these messages. Thanks for joining us.
It's not hard to see what killed these trees. It was boreworms. The borer is a hard insect to control, virtually untouched with spraying and other applications. But with systemic injection, when the borer eats the tree, the borer dies. Trees are dying all over, but we've got the cure. We give a 1-year guarantee when we treat your trees for the borers. We've been doing this 35 years, and we know what we're doing. Give us a call. We're the Tree Doctors, Dickey Tree Service, in your yellow pages under trees.
The recent winter storm damaged trees throughout the area. Left untreated, some of them will die. If you feel your trees are at risk, call the Tree Doctor, Dickey Tree Service. They've been saving trees throughout the Mid-South for 35 years. With systemic injection, health and vigor can be restored to a tree that left untreated might die. Dickey Tree Service won't treat a tree they can't save. That's why every treated tree comes with a full 1-year guarantee. And estimates are free. Call the professionals, the Tree Doctors, Dickey Tree Service, in your yellow pages under trees.
Thanks for sticking around. There's more Tree Doctors coming right up. Let's go back to the field with Ed Dickey.
I'm here at the home of Beth and Mark Cross here in Portisville. And a little over 2 years ago, we had to treat these oak trees in the yard. They had an insect problem. And we're back again. We've treated these again. And Miss Cross, you want to tell me what happened with your trees?
Well, after you treated them, they were wonderful, they were beautiful, and then we got busy and didn't do our follow-up, so we got bugs again.
Oh, and part of the reason is what you got in your hand right here, how you got busy, isn't it? Who is this?
This is our first grandbaby. This is Lenny Emma.
Oh, that's pretty. Lenny Emma. Nice name. And I can understand how you got a little busy, and but maybe this time you'll have time to do the follow-up, and you won't have to go to this expense again, and we're going to get your trees back on track.
Okay.
And so maybe Lenny Emma can enjoy these trees in years to come. We get a lot of letters and emails about our show and different questions, and one came in here the other day that the lady asked, ever run across a tree that don't know what to do with it? You know, don't know what's the matter with it. Well, I've had a bunch of them over the years. You got to remember, I've been doing this 35 years. One case that comes to mind, it was in West Memphis, Arkansas, where this tree just kept going downhill. I couldn't figure out what it was. I took a ground sample of the soil, and took a cutting from the branch, and we put it in the lab. It didn't turn out anything. The soil come back clean. No problems there. So I went to have another look, and I was there just kind of stumped. and this lady come by walking her dog. And I told her what I was doing there, and she said, does the tree put off gas? And I said, well, no, the tree puts off oxygen. You know, it takes in your carbon dioxide and makes oxygen, but it doesn't put off a gas. And she said when the wind was blowing right and she'd be walking her dog down that street, she'd smell gas. So I called the gas company, and they brought the little sniffer out to sniff it. Sure enough, minute gas leak right there near the tree. The crew come out and fixed the gas leak. And, I treated the tree. It was a Bradford pear, and still down there doing well today. But I was stumped on that one, and I've often wondered if that woman hadn't come by with that dog that told me that she smelled that gas, the tree would have probably died. We're up here by George Killian's house here outside of Portisville, and I treated this old magnolia a little over 2 years ago. It was sick too, and man, that smells good. Tree's in good shape. Blossoms look good. Tree's doing well. You know, magnolia trees have problems from time to time. You'll see holes in the trunk areas, you know, the too much leaf drop. Most people are aware that magnolias change their leaves twice a year, you know, but if they just dropping them all the time, you might be having a problem with your magnolias. That's what was going on with George's. Man, that sure smells. That's mighty near like lemonade. But we can take care of your magnolia trees. If it gets a problem, give us a call. That's what we do. We're the tree doctors. You know, we need to enjoy our yard and our trees. I'm here treating this tree behind me. It's a sassafras. Sassafras is a pretty good tree, you know. They make the tea from it. It's an interesting type tree. Everybody I think has heard of sassafras tea. They got this neat swing underneath it. And you'll notice this yard has got a lot of weeds mixed in with the grass. This homeowner here does not believe in using chemical control. They try to keep their yard healthy and keep the chemicals down. And in the long run, it finally helps your trees too, because you can get too much of any one thing and you damage it quite a bit. But this homeowner's aware of the yard. They work in it every day and evidently enjoy it every day. And that's what our yard's for and our trees are for. Take care of them a little and they'll take care of you. Boy, it's a beautiful spot here. There's a whole lot of trees. It's nice and shady. When these trees was planted 50 or 60 years ago, they really looked to the future because there's about 5 or 6 different kind of oak trees that's growing here. They've got a little bit of problem. We're taking care of that, but it's so majestic here. He's got pecan trees mixed in with some pine and numerous oaks. It's almost like a natural park setting. And I'm sure it doesn't go unnoticed. In fact, I might mention that I recently read what I call a good book, the Reader's Digest. That they mentioned that if you live close to a park or had a natural tree setting or a nice place that's to set out and get rid of your problems, people tend to live longer. I believe that. I believe trees and nature and you get it all in balance, everything works out a little bit better, a little more peace of mind anyway. But this homeowner here has got it going on as far as good trees, different kind, and it's a big yard. When this homeowner called me in, he got tired of picking up the dead wood in his yard. Every time the wind blowed, the dead limbs would fall out, and he got to looking at his trees, and he noticed that they was infested, and he called me in, and sure enough, he's got a borer problem we're taking care of. This tree here was worse than the others, and as you can see, it's getting some multi-nutrient too to give it that extra boost to come back. The other's just the poison. The top one is the multi-nutrient to help it recover quickly. And there's a big, nice, long row of oak trees here, and what put him, he said, to being upset about it is that every time he mowed his yard, he had limbs that fell out and had to pick up, and the tree was trying to tell him it had a problem. So if you kind of watch your trees, they will let you know they got a problem. It could be a droopiness of the leaves. It could be holes in the trunk. It could be a wet spot running down on the trunk area or sawdust around the base. But trees have a way of telling you if you just kind of pay attention to them instead of just walking by them. enjoy your trees and take care of them, and they'll live a long while. We're treating this large oak behind me here for borer problem, insect problem, and the homeowner quizzed me about whether we ought to put a multi-nutrient in it too. And from the canopy being as green as it is, other than the insect problem, I recommended it. We just put this product I got called Plant Power. It's loaded with minerals and vitamins and enzymes, and we just pour it on the ground. A tree this size would just take 4 bottles, and it actually gets the tree on the road to helping itself get back in good shape, because it doesn't have a fertilizer or a nutrient problem. It's got a mineral and a vitamin and enzyme problem, and that's what we're going to be putting in it. It saved the homeowner here a lot of cost by not having to go to that expense, and it's actually better for the tree. And that's what the bottom line is, what's better for the tree. We're here at Portisville, Missouri, at the home of Barry Richardson Jr. and his wife Christy. And we're standing, you notice, you might have watched a few weeks ago, we did a segment on family trees, and this is one of their family trees. And I thought it was interesting. Barry had called me to treat this tree, and Barry, tell me a little history about this tree.
Well, Ed, this is one of the larger trees in Portisville, people tell me, and we are probably the 4th owner of this property. This property used to belong to some of the DeLille family, which is an old family here in Portisville, the patriarch family, and Columbus DeLille owned this property. And then it went to Miss Shannon, and then Mr. and Miss Hobbs. Miss Bess Hobbs are the one that built this home here.
I see.
And so it fell to us about 15 or 16 years ago. So we're real fortunate to have acquired this property, and we didn't want anything to happen to this larger tree. I don't know where this would rate in the state, you know, as far as...
It's a very large tree, I'll tell you that.
A lot of people that are up in their 90s, you know, remember those trees, this tree when they were children, and, you know, it's always been this large
right
to them. So
right.
I don't know circumference-wise how big that tree... we measured like 17-foot radius, didn't we, or something like that?
That's right. It's a little larger than 17 foot around, and so it's been a family tree for a lot of people. And I guess you enjoyed seeing your kids play. You mentioned earlier this.
Oh yeah, yeah. This
had
was
a trampoline under here, and
yeah, this was their tree, and they had. That's one of their last ropes there. They had all kinds of ropes on this, and they had trampolines here, and they had everything on this tree. And yeah, it's an old tree. We're very proud of it, and we're very appreciative of you coming and treating this tree. And we want it to be here when we're long gone.
There you go. That's a good statement. I appreciate the fact you let me treat the tree and being aware of this tree. And the camera doesn't show it, but the residence is only about 60 foot. If the cameraman can, if he'll just pan out to the residence there. So it actually provides a whole lot of shade. And Miss Richardson, I guess you could just look out the window and watch your kids as they played out here.
Yes, I did. The kitchen is just right there, so I was standing at the kitchen constantly, of course, cooking and watching them on the trampoline and playing around the tree. Yes, I did.
You know, I'm here, this is a Chinese maple, and it's a gorgeous tree. There's a lot of them around. We see them all over. They have problems from time to time, but this homeowner here is using lava rocks to around it, and it's working out real well because of course the lava rocks let it breathe pretty well, lets it gets the moisture, lets the other shrubbery around it do well too, and don't have that much of a weed problem either. This homeowner, I mentioned earlier about the chemicals. A lot of people like the naturalness of without having to use a lot of chemicals, and you can have the best of both worlds sometime if you pick the right product to further enhance what you do. And this is a large old Chinese maple, and it's doing well with the lava rocks around it. That's a thought you might want to consider. We've had some requests that some people wanted us to show how we put the rod in a tree again. We had showed you in one other segment when we did a small, low-growing tree. This large maple here, you can see, has a busted area, split down almost about 3 foot tall, and it's fixing to split open. And you can watch and see how we put this thing back together.
Daddy phoned to tell us that old tree might have to come down. The one I had the tree house in and chased my wife around. He said a neighbor showed him where it was busting at the trunk. And if the snow got heavy, it could crack down to the stump. We got to save our family tree. It's such a big part of our history. What a nostalgic sight to see. We got to save our family tree. Grandpa said they planted it when he was just 8 years old. His mama kept the clods broke up while his daddy dug the hole. I phoned up a friend of mine that lives in our hometown. He said he knew a tree doctor didn't like to cut trees down. The man went out and checked our tree and bolted it back together. He said it would last a lifetime, no matter what the weather. We got to save our family tree. It's such a big part of our history. What a nostalgic sight to see. We got to save our family tree. Yes, we got to save our family tree.
As you can see, we've got the rod installed. The tree's going to be well for several years to come. We're treating the tree to help it do better also. It's an old maple tree, about 50 years old, and this should make it last another 50 or better. That's how we do it.
Thanks for joining us today on Tree Doctors. I'm John Passmore for Ed Dickey. If you have any more questions, just go to the website, www.dickeytree.com, and Ed will answer the questions for you. Or if you want to schedule an appointment, call at the number below. Ed will come out and tell you what you need to do with your trees. We appreciate you joining us today on Tree Doctors. We'll see you next time.